Kamala, what's this shit about you missing interviews in St. Louis? I want an honest answer here. I'm going to confront you.
I don't speak English, and I can't read English, so I missed the interview.
Yeah, well, I thought we had it, though. It was written up in Swahili by James Barnett. I thought you would have got the goddamn message. This is ridiculous. Sitting on your ass in some goddamn hotel over in Ipswich, Illinois.
I do a little fucky.
Oh, okay. That's very good.
You so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome back, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling episode 238, The Collector.
With us this week, we got a very special guest, a guest from within the region, within the realm of Juice Pro Wrestling, the home base, the operations, if you will. You may have seen him on A&E a couple times on their program, WWE Hidden Treasures. Please, ladies and gentlemen, boys and ghouls, welcome
Tim Jamison.
Tim, how you doing tonight?
God damn, I've never been introduced like that. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, brother. Let's just fucking dive right into it. Man, dude, so last year, I'm watching A&E, you know, they got this partnership with WWE, right, for the biographies, which is super fucking cool. And then the Hidden Treasure show where whoever doesn't know that's watching, listening right now, if you don't know, how do you not know? But anyway, they take superstars and they send them on a mission. And the first season, for some weird reason, they sent Top Dollar because you really want Top Dollar ringing. Who? Right? I mean, it's probably still cool, but it's Top Dollar. You know, who cares?
Wait, if it's not Swerve, it's not Top Dollar.
Right? Dude, it would have been so much way more dope with Swerve. But so they go around looking for, you know, ring-worn attire and stuff from the men and women of WWE's career that are like super memorable to display on the road. Like, you know, when they do like WrestleMania accesses and shit like that at SummerSlam. And I'm watching and all of a sudden they see a thing that goes boom, Hobart, Indiana. And I'm like, what the, get the hell out of here. And you pop up.
What the hell? That's Main Street.
Right. Down on Main Street. Drunk a lot down there. Shout out to the boys at the Art Theater. Anyway, so I'm looking at this. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And you got Top Dollar and Mick Foley visiting you. I think the first season that was for the original Mankind outfit, right? The mask.
It was for the shirt, actually. I owned the shirt, the original shirt. Yeah, they actually brought the mask with them though, which was pretty cool.
That's what it was. It's been a while. But dude, so I'm watching this. I'm just like, man, I got to find out who this guy is. You know, we've been doing this wrestling show now for a good long while. Get him on, talk. And, I mean, you're really like the first, cause we like to talk to everybody involved in wrestling, from just fans to guys like you, collectors to, you know, promoters and the men and women in the ring and behind the camera, all that shit, man. We like to involve everybody. So, real quick, let's just, before we break into what was going on this year, take us back to that first experience and meeting and how did they contact you? Who contacted you? And I mean, with what you do you get that a lot?
I don't get contacted much by like TV companies per se, but they started this initiative like right around, man, it was like right as COVID started. So it's all started in like 2020. It was like March or April of 2020. They started the project for the first season, and they, they reached out to some more kind of visible or well-known collectors that are much more public with their collections. And I wasn't so public at the time, a little bit, but not so public. And that person, that collector, said, you got to talk to Tim. And So they contacted me,
So he
and
rolled on you, huh?
yeah, he rolled on me. He's like, "You guys got to talk to Tim." And the original discussions for the first season, they weren't. Again, it was really kind of like they didn't even know like if they were going to be able to film because COVID, like I said, it just started. So
Is this
they weren't sure.
WWE contacting you, or is this A&E rep?
No, it's an A&E, like it's a production company that worked for A&E that was working with WWE to make the show. So the production company had contacted me, and those things were a little bit different. Those than WWE. It was like they didn't really know anything about wrestling, to be honest. Like they were just television producers. And one of them on the team was a former wrestling fan. She grew up watching wrestling, so she knew pretty well, but a lot of the other ones did not. So that was a little bit different. So they threw a bunch of names at me of like people who they were interested in doing episodes on in the first season. And some of them I was like, why are you doing an episode on this guy? Like, I don't, some of them were kind of, yeah.
Toss me a name. Come on.
Nothing against like Mark Henry, for instance, but it's like, what really, you know what I mean? Like great guy, great wrestler, but like, when you're talking about the greats of professional wrestling, your Bret Harts and your Ultimate Warriors, it's like Mark Henry gets thrown into the mix, or, I mean, some of the more modern stars they were kind of thinking about, but that one stuck out to me. I was like, Mark Henry, like, what? There wasn't much there. I mean, he wore singlets and, they all kind of look the same. So, but the original discussion, candidly, was supposed to be for a Bret Hart episode. So one of the episodes they had tapped was for Bret Hart for the first season. And that unfortunately didn't work out because of COVID. So, no one could come or go from Canada. So Bret wasn't going to be a part of the project. And I don't know that they had even gotten his approval anyway to like do it, even without him. So, I'm not sure about that. But so then they contacted me later and said like, hey, why not Mick Foley? We're doing an episode on Mick Foley. And by that time, kind of shortly after I started talking to them, I started an Instagram account and started posting pictures of some of the stuff in my collection. And they actually came across that picture, like a picture of the Mick Foley shirt, and said, why not, we're interested in coming for that item. So a deal was made to come out and film in Hobart, Indiana, as they like to call it, Hobart.
I know. I fucking hate that, dude. Damn it. I mean, as a wrestling fan, dude, like, were you marking out a little bit? Like, kind of like, yeah, this is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, for Mick Foley, for sure. I mean, nothing against Top Dollar, but I was like, who, they kind of said, we're bringing this AJ, we're bringing a host, it's AJ Francis. And, they did tell me that Foley was coming. So I did know that ahead of time, that Mick was coming, they were bringing a host. I did know that they were looking for that particular shirt, but wasn't really familiar with AJ, but Mick Foley coming to my house was kind of surreal, to be honest. Like I would have never, I was a huge Cactus Jack fan. I was a huge, Mankind fan back in the day. So it was kind of like, what world am I living on right now? So, very cool. And, it's kind of crazy to think that, I was just a fan, and I've never been big on meeting wrestlers. I've never been like that guy that has to meet a wrestler and get their autograph. It just never, I don't know. There was something about it that I never really was into that. But it's kind of surreal to think now, I have Mick Foley's phone number. He's been here 6 times. They filmed 3 episodes here. He's come 3 other times to just watch pay-per-views here. And hang out. So that kind of shit's kind of fucking surreal to think that, like, the last time he was here, he brought a friend, not in the wrestling business, just a friend that, because he wanted that person to see this collection. So, kind of surreal, to be honest, to think that, if I see him, sometimes I go to conventions and he knows my name. Like he'll say, hey, Tim, hey, how's it going? Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones too.
He is. We met him at Warrior.
Yeah, at Warrior, he was super nice.
He was amazing.
He was just leaving, and I was like, I don't want to bother him, but I just, all I said to him was like, "Hey, man, thanks. Thanks for everything, your body of work and all that." And he was super nice, super humble,
Yeah.
like really
Totally.
fucking cool cat, man.
I mean, if anybody deserves that kind of respect, I mean, everybody who kind of puts their body on the line in wrestling probably deserves, should get any fans respect. But then what he put himself through in the name of just providing entertainment for fans is, pretty much unparalleled. Like, sacrificing his body as much as he did. So, and he really is a super nice guy, very generous with his time. And
yeah. And
I'll donate.
if I'm not mistaken, I mean, he was an Indiana cat too, right? Isn't he from Indiana?
yeah,
He's
was
from
Evansville?
Christmas. He's from Christmas, isn't he?
Christmas. Okay. Yeah. I think he was born there or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why he's got that infatuation, like being with, not infatuation, but he like dressing up like Santa and doing the whole Santa thing during Christmas. I remember reading about that.
Yeah, he's fucking year 365 on that Christmas tip, man.
Dude, he's awesome.
So
it's amazing. Like, I don't know how, I mean, he does fly for traveling, but like he actually, the first season he drove up here for that episode in his own minivan, like this, old minivan that he was touring around in, that, which I thought was kind of crazy too, is like, he actually, wasn't just again, he's literally driving this kind of, older minivan around for work purposes like this. He's not flying first class. He's coming in hot.
That's awesome. So you've had the opportunity to hang with him a couple times. I mean, obviously, what was the stipulations? Because like I said, it's been a while. I've only seen that episode, and we're talking over a year ago. Did you end up giving him that shirt?
Yeah. So in the first season, I went in, I did know they were coming. I did know that they wanted that item. I did know all that, but like the negotiation was 100% legit. Like, didn't know what they were going to offer, figured they were going to make an offer, but, didn't know what it would be. Never agreed. They kept asking me beforehand, like, are you considering selling? And I was like, nah, not really. I mean, I'll consider anything, but I really had no intentions of selling that shirt, or anything really in my collection. But, they kind of, it was a long negotiation. They edit that down, they edited it down to like 37 seconds or whatever. Not that anyone's counting, not that I took the stopwatch out, but, it was, it took like 10 minutes of them throwing offers. So they started out at like, hey, what about, $2,500. And I was like, no, I'm not interested. And then there was like, what about $5,000? And I was like, no, not interested. And then it was like, what about $5,000 and Mick Foley will come, for a pay-per-view party to your house. Yeah. And I was like, and I actually said no to that, as much as I felt terrible. I felt terrible saying that. I was like, as much as I like that offer, I don't want to sell. Mm-hmm. And then they kind of huddled together and then they said, well, what about, it was, I don't remember, $7,000 or $7,500 and Mick Foley will come. And then at that point I was like, it's not even about the money. It's like, at what point do I just look like a complete fucking asshole for not, not giving him this shirt that, Mick Foley's here. They want it back. He's willing to. So I was like, okay, all right, I guess. Cause I thought, man, I didn't want to be a heel on the internet. I don't want to be like this guy. What a loser. Yeah.
Oh man,
so,
got heat. Got heat with the internet.
Yeah. A lot of the episodes I've seen, like guys like,
so I agreed.
I'm not parting with it. And it's cool because
they're smarter than me, I guess.
Right.
Cause like I didn't think I could say no. And
yeah. Well, you got Foley's friendship out of it. So, I mean, that's what those old commercials used to say, priceless, I mean.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and then I find out like once the show airs, well, I kind of would talk to some of the other people that were involved, like collectors, and they were like, oh no, I'm trading. And I was like, wait a minute, you can trade for something? Like they're going to give you, like, what sense does this make? Like they're looking to secure items, but they're also giving them out. So I didn't, that threw me for a loop too, because I thought, man, I would have traded for something instead of cash. But but no, it really, as funny as it may seem, I really, felt a sense of loss when I did lose that shirt. I felt like it was great having Mick come back. It was, the money was the money, but I was like, I'll never find another Mankind shirt. And then about a year later, I did. So, I do actually still own a Mankind shirt. So he had a few of them because he just didn't wear the same one. The one that I had was the original, the very first one that he wore. And I ended up, about a year later, another collector had the one from SummerSlam 1997 that he tore as he jumped off the cage against Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
So I now have that shirt in my collection. So it all, karma, the universe, it all just balanced out. Like I did a good thing, so I got repaid with replaced my Mankind shirt.
So when Mick's coming out and kicking it with you, I mean, are you guys watching pay-per-views, like old stuff, current stuff? Like, what's the hang like?
Yeah, he kind of leaves it up to me when we've done it. The first time he came out, we watched, it was about a year later. It took a year because, again, COVID. They filmed in September of 2020. And again, it was kind of like COVID was still a thing. So he didn't get back out here until September of 2021. And it was kind of coming up on the anniversary of Mind Games, the Shawn and Foley match from the In Your House pay-per-view. And so that I was like, okay, that's the pay-per-view we're going to watch. So we watched Mind Games that time. And I invited a friend of mine over who is a huge Mick Foley fan, much larger than what I was when I was, younger. And he came over. The second time he came over, we watched a Beach Blast 92. We went to, I wanted to do like a WCW one. So the Sting Cactus Jack match.
Yeah.
And then the third time he brought a friend, and this was just recently, this was just like right around WrestleMania time this year. He had just gotten back from WrestleMania and he didn't actually watch some of the matches from this year's WrestleMania. And so he wanted to watch, we watched, like the Sami Zayn and Roman match from Montreal. We watched the Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Usos match, the Rhea Ripley, Charlotte match. Like we just kind of skipped around WrestleMania and then also watched Cactus Jack versus Vader at Halloween Havoc 1993. So
Yes, it's like one of my favorite.
mostly classic stuff and Aurelio's Pizza. So.
Oh yeah, gotta give him up with that Gel Sassimos next time, man.
Yeah.
So fast forward, here we are, the second season of Hidden Treasures. And, as you alluded to earlier, they wanted to do a Bret Hart in the first season, but it didn't pan out. Now we got it in the second season, brother. And you're on this episode, which just aired a few weeks ago. And, as I told you, when I saw it and I contacted you, it was like, it meant something personal to me too, watching it, because you had the ring-worn jacket from WrestleMania 8 where Bret wrestled Piper for the IC strap. Me as a young little juice, I was in attendance, man. That was so far my first and only Mania. So to go back all 30 years, man, it's insane. But that kind of hit me on a personal level because I'm like, damn, dude, man, this motherfucker's like in the area. He's got that jacket, dude, like from WrestleMania 8, which... a lot of people kind of shit on that one, but there were some good things about it. There's some good, mostly kind of bad shit. But that's one of the shining moments from that episode. How the hell did you come across that? And then so I know what you did in the episode was pretty fucking respectful and honorable. Like knowing that, like, hey, if this is going to Bret, like, take it. You're willing to just give it to him as, and then trade it for some cartoons, which I thought was awesome too. You're also talking about, I didn't know you could trade for shit, with these guys, like to actually get some original art from Bret, who is a phenomenal artist, man, like caricature. And I love what he do with the one where Flair, when he was in TNA and he's just like gushing blood everywhere.
Oh yeah. Blood bleeding everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm surprised he hasn't done one on Mox yet. Take us through that experience, dude. And like, how the hell did you acquire that jacket, dude?
The jacket I got from a collector in the UK. So most of the items I get from other collectors. Like you just kind of make connections.
Yeah.
And that one actually went through the same collector who recommended me to the show. Someone reached out to him and said, "Hey, if you're interested, Bret's WrestleMania 8 jacket is available for sale. This guy's looking to move it." And that guy is not a Bret Hart fan. He's more of an NWA, Jim Crockett guy. He wasn't really interested, so he kind of passed it my way and said, "Hey, if you want this, reach out to this guy." So I did, and it was kind of very satisfying to get that jacket, and I'll tell you why. So within the hobby of collecting, you come across some cool people and you come across some real, dickheads, and
Sure.
there was a guy just like wrestling. There was a guy in the UK who was he's kind of like a semi collector, more of a reseller, to be honest.
Yeah.
But he in the weeks prior to this, he was telling me about, man, this guy, I know this guy who has the Bret Hart jacket from WrestleMania 8. I'm gonna try and buy it. And he didn't have the resources to buy it. He just didn't. And I'm thinking, you're just wasting this person's time and you're getting in the way of me getting this because I wanted that jacket bad. And of course, he's not going to share who's got this jacket. So I think that seller got kind of tired of dealing with him, kind of wasting his time, and kind of went through some other channels and finally made its way to me. So it was very satisfying to ultimately get it because Bret Hart's my favorite wrestler, always has been. Never really was a Hulk Hogan guy, never was an Ultimate Warrior guy. It was like Bret Hart, Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels. It was those types of guys that really got me. Yeah, exactly. I don't think I ever once cupped my hand in my ear or anything like that as a kid. I was just never Hulk Hogan. I thought, man, this guy's old. I used to think he was old when I was a kid. I was like, this guy's old. What So I think it was the bald head. I don't know, but never was a fan. So Bret getting that jacket, being from Indiana, the match being from Indianapolis, which I didn't get to go to. So when you told me you win, I was like, man, that's killer. I was kind of jealous of that.
I got
had to have it. And did you? Sweet.
Yeah, when if you look, Mean Gene is interviewing the Road Warriors, and that was I was freaking the fuck out because I was huge. Still to this day, LOD are the goats, man. And I'm right in the corner. You can see with my fucking WrestleMania hat. And I'm just freaking out. And it's Mean Gene, the Road Warriors up there, well. And I think that's when they brought Paul Ellering back too. And I was like, holy shit, dude! It was just amazing.
So you got some good seats then.
Oh yeah, pretty damn decent, man. Pretty damn decent.
I went to WrestleMania 13 in Chicago and had, I think, the second to last row in the arena. So my dad, we had gone to a Nitro 2 months before WrestleMania. We went to a Nitro and he didn't buy tickets. You just walk up to the box office the day of the show and get tickets. And so he did, and he got really good seats for this Nitro in January of 97. So he thought he could do that for WrestleMania. So WrestleMania comes around and we just show up at the Rosemont Horizon, WrestleMania 13. He goes up to the box office and, sir, we're sold out. Unless you got a will call. So we had to scalp tickets, and he got, it was the second to last row in the arena, but it was still great to be there, for Steve Austin, Bret Hart,
Yeah, iconic fucking moment, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so that's how I got the jackets. And then, they contacted me again for the second season. There's actually another episode we filmed that hasn't aired yet. So I don't know when that one will be airing for another wrestler, but they had contacted me about Bret again. This one was a little bit different production crew, but they worked for A&E, but it was a different crew, and they kind of handled it a little bit different. I didn't know, they tried to kind of kayfabe that Mick Foley was hosting from me, but Mick had kind of spilled the beans to me through a text message anyway. He just texted yeah, I'm going to be hosting the show, so I'll probably see you.
Awesome.
And yeah. but so they were trying to they didn't know that I knew Foley was coming, but I wasn't sure who was coming with him. Like I was dying because I was thinking Bret's coming, like if Bret's coming. And there was it was 50-50. There was really a part of me that was like, there's no way Bret's coming. And then I was like, but what if Bret's coming? So I didn't know until they filmed my reaction. So if you watch that episode and Natty shows up, Natalia, I didn't, that was me finding out that, oh, okay, Natty's here, which was, still pretty cool, honestly. No, it was still pretty cool. I thought, before going in, I was kind of thinking I don't know, I kind of thought that might be a possibility that Natty might come if Bret didn't. But honestly, to be candid, she's been really awesome, just as a human being and a person since filming that show. She stays in contact. She follows my Instagram account. She, messages me all the time. She sent me a weight from Stu Hart's dungeon. So she sent that to me. She had that at her house and she sent that to me. So she has been, she's been a really just wonderful person to have met through this whole experience, on top of Mick Foley too. So, but yeah, so they came for the jacket. And if you watch the show, going into that thing, I was dead set. I am not giving this jacket up, more so than the Mankind shirt. I was there's no fucking way I'm giving this just jacket up, because of that jacket. I have a lot of stuff in my collection. I have a lot of items, but the Bret Hart stuff is kind of untouchable. And especially that one, I would say that was probably the favorite item I had in my collection.
Did you ever wear it?
And that negotiation was 45 minutes, because I said no to everything. And that really was legit. Foley kind of, if you watch the episode, he comes out and says, I really wasn't supposed to say this, but it is going back to Bret. And, I hadn't heard after I acquired the jacket about it being stolen, even before they had come in. They tell the story that it was stolen from his collection, and I kind of know the whole story behind how that happened now. Didn't know when I acquired the jacket, but, when they said it was going back to him, it was how do you, again, you can't, your hero, you can't be sorry, pal, so
Spike Lee, do the right.
It was tough. It was tough for me. And it was tough watching, when I watched it back, even because I could tell how, upset I was getting about losing it. But, I've, again, I think it's the right thing to do. And I don't regret it now at all. I'm glad he has it back.
I love when, so if you watch the episode back, when they show up to the warehouse and they show them what they got and whatever, and Bret's just that's it. And he seemed kind of pissed off. I was for God's sake, I was yes. Cause he's very, dude. And I've had people rip on, I've heard him ripping on Bret. Well, you go into his house or whatever, and it's just all shit of him and this and that. And it's well, yeah, he's proud of the motherfucker had a great career. He's a fucking hero of his country. He's a part of the biggest wrestling family, in my opinion, probably in the history of professional wrestling. Everything I do as far as what my band and shows and shit, my old lady won't let me put everything up, but there's some shit up. You best believe there's some shit up. And if I could, dude, everything would be up. I just hate motherfuckers that talk shit like that and say is he a little curmudgeon? Yeah, but look at the dude's life, man, and the loss he's had. It's fuck.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's kind of the similar thing with Foley, and I think, I think it's why, me as a person, that I connected with Bret as a wrestler so much more than, say, a Hogan, because Hogan would be someone who would say that about Bret, right? Hogan would be someone who would say oh, he's got all his own, he's a mark for himself, or, or someone of that, they might say that about him. But yeah, why wouldn't he be? He did so much for fans. He cared so much about what he put in the ring every single night. He wants to, he's very protective of his legacy. And, WWE, for better or for worse, controls most of it. And so, I mean, why wouldn't he want to control what he can of his own legacy and be able to display that stuff and relive it and show it to friends and family and let it still live on? Like it's,
Agreed.
it's respectful or respectable. And I think that's why I've connected so much with him as a wrestler, because I'm kind of the same way with the stuff I collect. It's like, yeah, it's not mine, but in a sense, I didn't wear it, I didn't use it, but it's a memory, it's a moment, it's something. Yeah, I bought it. Yeah, it's mine and I own it. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't live, in those pair of boots, or I didn't live in those trunks and wrestle that match, but somebody did, and that person made a special moment for a fan somewhere else that, they were watching it with a friend or a family member. It meant something to them. They still remember it to this day. Like, those things should be taken care of. Those things should be, preserved.
Yeah, agreed, man. And dude, it's so what is the jacket you have behind you right now?
That jacket is I had two, yes, because one's gone, but I had two Bret Hart jackets. This one is the Survivor Series 1996 jacket that he wore when he returned at Madison Square Garden against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he only wore that one for a couple of months. He only wore that through like early 97, and then he kind of switched jackets again. But that's the jacket he wore at Madison Square Garden against Steve Austin at Survivor Series 96.
Have you received any of the art or anything that you guys agreed upon on the show?
Yeah, yes, I did. I framed it.
Right on.
I can go get it if you want, but
yeah.
Hey, hold on, let me go grab it. It's kind of large, so that's what she said.
That's what I like to hear.
Nah. Got him.
Ooh, what we got back there? So
Flair. Woman.
Flair gets my tricks. Fifi.
Yeah, Flair gets my tricks. Fifi gets my treats.
Is that Rick Rude fucking trunks?
I think so, yeah.
Oh my God, dude. That's pretty fucking tough. And then
at first I was looking, I was like, is that Pillman's? I was like, no, that's gotta be Ravishing.
Yeah, dude, for sure. That's Rude. And then that dress, I'm wondering if that's like an Elizabeth dress.
That's what I was gonna say. The pink one reminds me of Elizabeth, the black reminds me of Sherry.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Let's find out.
All right, yeah, that's Rick Rude's tights from Halloween Havoc 1993.
Oh, God.
So here's the artwork. I kind of mounted it on this thing, so I don't know if you could see it here, but I kind of mounted it on this. I framed it and mounted it on a rack so that it could display next to here. But
that's rad.
He drew him and Jim, the Hart Foundation, getting interviewed by Gene, and then he wrote on the back, which I kind of photocopied for the purposes of the display. But he wrote on the back, made special for Tim Jamison. Thank you, Bret the Hitman Hart. And then he must have drawn it on Jim Neidhart's birthday, because he wrote the date February 6th, Jim Neidhart birthday. And I got it shortly thereafter. So he must have drawn it kind of on his birthday or something.
Dude, adds even more
sentimental
spunk to it. Yeah, dude.
I like
personal.
that.
And then you were asking about that dress. That dress is actually, so that's a DDP jacket, if you could see that.
Okay,
like,
is that when he was the diamond?
From,
no, that was Hall was the stud.
Yeah, when he was
just saying diamond stud. That's Scott Hall.
Yeah.
No, that was from like 1995, 1996 DDP, when he was just Diamond Dallas Page with the Diamond Doll, his wife. So that's the Diamond Doll.
Oh, okay.
Next.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then what do we got over?
And Randy Savage is hanging out back there. That black dress is a Sherry Martel dress. So that was a Queen Sherry dress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
that looks like a Sherry dress.
You king,
yeah.
Yeah, that dress. I have quite a few of her. I got quite a few of her items.
Oh,
that dress she wore on her, like, she had a poster back in like 89. That was the dress she wore in the poster, and she wore it to the ring several times too.
I don't remember that poster.
Oh, me too.
It was a rare one. I didn't end up seeing it until, gosh, it was just a couple of years ago. I came across it and I was like, whoa.
Dude, so how much, like, when did you fucking start collecting this shit?
About 10 years ago.
All
So,
right.
it was I think 2013 was the first year, like the first time I purchased like a ring worn item.
So a decade in, how much awesome shit have you amassed?
It took a while. So like I bought one item in 2013 and that was probably it because I just, things are expensive and that was 10 years ago. So now I keep kind of a running inventory. I have over 300 items from like over 100 wrestlers. So the count's like 312, but I say like over 300 items just because some things I count like a Bret Hart set, like a tights, trunks, and singlet. Like I'll just count that as one when I'm counting, but I mean, it's 3 different pieces. So yeah, it's like over 300 items, over 100 different wrestlers. I would assume it's probably the largest collection. I could be wrong, but it will definitely be one of the largest collections of anything like ring worn related.
Yeah, dude. And so,
Amazing.
I mean, is it strictly just like WWE, WCW shit? Do we have any like, say, some old school Japan or like
NWA,
ECW, NWA, AWA?
Most AWA, yeah. Mostly WWF, WCW, ECW from like 88 to like I kind of cut it off at like 2005 is probably like the newest item I have because that's kind of I still watch wrestling, but that's kind of when I got a little bit less invested in it than I was when I was a kid growing up, right? So about after like 2005, I kind of don't really have much, but nothing really from Japan. I got some Mexico items. So I have some stuff from like Conan that was used in Mexico. I've posted like art bar items from Mexico, AAA. So
Do you have the Max
I have
Moon
another.
shit, too?
I do have the Max Moon outfit from WWF.
Oh, yeah. I see that. I was like, holy fuck.
How about
Yeah,
the Portuguese man of war?
Aldo
I don't have
Montoya?
that. No.
Just incredible.
Oh, man.
No.
Right?
Nope. That was actually the first wrestler I met, though, because they did a show at Valparaiso. Yeah, they did a show at Valparaiso University
They used
in
to
like
always do-
1995. Yeah, they used to do them there, and we were walking back to the car, and like there was, he was out and back, like loading up his car, and that was the first, like I think it was the first in-person autograph I got in 1995, and he just signed it, Man of War. I still have that ticket stub somewhere. That
Awesome. That's killer.
Yeah. Rock that while you're listening to some fucking Man of War.
Yeah.
What other ECW items you got? Because dude, we're huge ECW marks.
Oh yeah.
I have franchise St. Douglas. I have one of the jackets that he wore that it was like kind of yellow and black cut up. It said franchise on the back.
Yep.
A pair of his trunks.
Got any Dean Douglas shit?
What else I have from EC? I do have the Dean Douglas outfit.
Yes.
From
Sick.
Throwing it out there. I got it.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Man.
I got it. Yeah, I got one of them. I think he told me I met him at a convention and I asked him. He said he had like 4 or 5 of them, but I do have one. What else do I have from ECW? Taz singlet. Public Enemy outfits. New Jack pants.
Damn.
Yeah. I got a Beulah McGillicuddy, like one of the tops she wore like in one of her matches, when it's just like a sports bra, but
That's
yeah.
not
Anything from like Sabu or Fonzie or anything like that?
No, nothing from Sabu. No Sabu. Oh, I got a bunch of RVD singlets too.
Really?
So I got like
Which ones you got?
3. I got 3 from ECW and like 3 or 4 from WWF or WWE.
With the dragon.
I do 2 of them. 2 of the ECW ones have the dragon on it.
Dude, that's so sick.
Yeah,
Awesome, dude. That was one of my favorite singlets.
my favorite RVD. My favorite one he wore was that one he wore Barely Legal. That kind of like, I don't know what it was. Kind of like, it wasn't tie dye, but it was kind of like pink and orange and green.
Yeah.
The favorite one I have, though, I have the one he wore against Eddie Guerrero in the ladder match.
Oh, hell yeah.
No, I don't have the Tiger one. I think he still has it, actually. I think he still has the Tiger one. No, the favorite one I have is the one he wore. I have the one he wore against Eddie Guerrero in that WWE ladder match that they had on Raw in like 2002.
You got any Eddie Guerrero shit?
I do have 2 pairs of Eddie Guerrero tights. One from the Latino Heat days when he was from about 2002. I actually have a matching set now that you bring that up. So it's the tights that Eddie Guerrero wore, and I have the singlet that Rob Van Dam wore in a match they had on pay-per-view at the Judgment Day 2002 pay-per-view. So it's the same, match, same outfits. And then I have a pair of Eddie's tights from AAA when he was wrestling with Art Barr as the Los Gringos Locos.
Yeah, for
Gringos Locos.
Yes.
Yes. And I have a pair of Art Barr tights too. They don't match exactly, but they were worn kind of interchangeably at the same time. So I have a Los Gringos Locos set.
Killer. What's the oldest thing you have in your collection?
Probably. Let's see. I have a pair of Magnum TA trunks from 84, 85. Yeah.
Dude. Yes.
Cody's cool.
I've been lucky enough to hang out with Magnum lately. So that same friend that kind of recommended me the show kind of knows Magnum, and he lives out in Virginia. He doesn't live out here.
Yeah.
And I got to hang out with Magnum, man, it was about 2 months ago or something. So when they actually, funny is if you watch that Vice Dark Side of the Ring documentary on Magnum, and they're filming him at that kind of like an independent show towards the end of the show. They're filming him like doing some autographs at an independent show. That independent show was in Virginia. And then I flew out there for that show. And my friend, we went to that independent show, and then Magnum we hung out with Magnum after that. So point being is if you watch that episode, you could see me standing in the background
Hell yeah.
As he's signing autographs, because I was just kind of standing there when they were filming. So
yep. Now I'm gonna.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy,
dude.
That'd be awesome to talk to him, man.
I know, and just kick it with him. You should invite him over to the house next time. Then give me a call too. I'll come. I'll buy all the food and all the.
I was gonna say, you're gonna buy all the wings and pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
So, dude, like growing up, I know you've mentioned a few people, but like your Bret Hart, your Shawn Michaels on the WCW side. So was it much like the cruiserweights for you then, like your Eddie Guerreros and stuff, or were you into when guys like Hogan went and changed the game and turned heel? You know, I know you said you weren't a big fan of Hulk Hogan, but what about Hollywood Hogan?
Nah, Hollywood Hogan, he was cool, but like it wasn't my thing. He just wasn't. I mean, I like the NWO, so you're absolutely right. So when Nitro started, I was into the cruiserweights. I thought that was the coolest thing. Ray, Eddie, Dean Malenko, Ultimo Dragon. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, Psychosis. I was into, but on the WCW side, I was into Savage. And I was into the DDP versus NWO storyline. I was into that.
Yeah.
I was into Hall and Nash. Hogan, again, it was just, I don't know, I guess because I wasn't into him when I was a kid. So like watching Hogan and Piper in 1996 just didn't do it for me, because I didn't really want to see it. And, I didn't really want to see Hogan in 92. So didn't really want to see him in 96 or 97. Or
what about the Stinger, man?
The Crow Sting. The Crow Sting was cool though. The Crow Sting I could totally get behind, and then watching that build up to Starrcade 97 was pretty cool. But it went quickly downhill for me from there with WCW, because they brought Bret in that show, right? Starrcade 97 was that. And then, they did absolutely the worst job you could possibly do with, that big of a star. Yeah. And that's when I kind of was like, I don't have time for, I was like, I don't have time for this shit. Like WCW, like I quickly kind of lost a lot of interest I would still tune in because I liked Raven. I mean, I thought Raven was cool,
rules,
you know, even in ECW. Yeah. So, you know, Raven. Goldberg was okay, but Raven?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of his stuff, not Raven stuff, but the Scotty Flamingo from WCW in 1992.
Hell yes.
I have a whole outfit. So jacket, tight or trunks, boots from Scotty Flamingo, like the jacket, the trunks, and the boots. And I have some of the Johnny Polo stuff too. So like when he did when he was managing the Quebecers, yeah.
Dude, be killer to find some of his band shirts. I have that Dinosaur Jr. It's not his shirt, but I have the same shirt that he used to wear, the Feel the Pain. Like, I still got that fucker. And the Sandman shirt, that would be dope. Or any of his jackets, you know?
Yeah. I tried for the jacket. I think he still has it, and he was kind of not willing to part with the original Raven jacket. So I hold out hope one day, but he kind of was like, yeah, I'll have to, I don't think it's his wife. I think he's like, I'll have to check with my girlfriend. So, and then I never heard from him again. So I'm assuming she said no.
Yeah, right. So out of everything you got, man, is it safe to assume is the Bret Hart shit like your most prized pieces in your collection? Or is there anything?
Yeah,
else
Bret Hart, I'm a huge
Bobby, dude.
I'm a huge Bobby Heenan fan, and as much as I like Bret Hart and love Bret Hart, I should say,
Humanoid.
I would say, you know, my most favorite performer in the business is Bobby Heenan. You know, that goes above Bret. And I have like 4 of his jackets that he wore. So I have I have the WrestleMania 3 jacket, that long white jacket that he wore at WrestleMania 3 against, you know, when he managed Andre against Hogan.
Oh my God.
I have one of those very iconic, because he had 2. They were different, but they were 2 different black sweatshirts that had like the BH on the chest and then like the design on the back.
Yeah.
I have one of those. He had 2 versions of that with different designs. So I had one, and that one was cool because like you could see that one in like the build up to Hogan versus Andre. Like when Andre rips that cross off of Hogan, Heenan's standing there wearing that sweatshirt, you know, that I have. I have one of his commentating jackets from Monday Night Raw that said like Raw on the sleeves and the BH. And then I have a kind of a beige blazer. He wore it quite a bit when he was managing Mr. Perfect. He wore it at SummerSlam 1990. It's kind of got that like jeweled ornament on the pocket. Yes. I also have one of his old wrestling singlets. So when you ask what's the oldest item I have, it's probably that one.
Wow.
Yeah, that one.
That's
because that goes back into like the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, dude, you got some serious fucking shit, brother.
That's awesome. Oh yeah.
Bobby's the man, dude. Like
he was.
He was.
Let me surf your collection real quick while we're talking about guys like that, and that's some of our favorite, like you said, in the biz, like of all time. Like Bobby Heenan's up there as the greatest of all time. Like he's got to be in that conversation when we talk about Mount Rushmores of wrestling in general. Like Bobby Heenan's got to be there, and sitting right next to his motherfucking ass, probably sharing a drink, is the one and only Mean Gene Okerlund. You got anything from Gene? Oh,
I don't have anything from Gene. I do have one of. So right next to Gene might be Gorilla Monsoon.
Yes,
and so I do have one of Gorilla Monsoon's jackets from like primetime wrestling and stuff that he would wear, like one of those tuxedo jackets. So I have that on display right next to the Bobby Heenan black sweatshirt. But yes, I do have a Gorilla Monsoon jacket actually. No Mean Gene stuff though. The closest thing I have to Mean Gene would be I have the sign. So it's a wooden sign that they would have on the backdrops behind the interview segments. This one in particular was the SummerSlam sign.
The one
this
that
one
fell?
was used at this. It's not the one that fell, but it looks like they changed it in like 1990 to like a bigger, larger one. And so I have the larger version of it. They used that one from like 1990 through like 1993. So he would have interviewed many legends in front of that sign.
Wow.
What about Jesse the Body Ventura? Jesse the Body.
No, honestly, I haven't seen much of his stuff out there. Like there's some wrestlers like you just don't come across their stuff, and he's one I haven't seen too much. So that either means he kept it all, or he threw it all away. Sometimes you find that wrestlers threw it all away or trashed it.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, we're thinking about Jesse, another guy I'm thinking, and he just passed. R.I.P. Dude, the fucking Iron Sheik, man. You have any?
Yeah, I have a pair of his trunks. I have a pair of his trunks with the camel on it.
Yeah, those are the iconic. I mean,
Yes.
they're all even the.
I would love to find a boot.
I was just going to say those boots.
I would love to find boots. I haven't seen any out there, and they did an episode on him on the first season, and all they could come up with was one boot. They could just find one of those sheep
the Persian
boots,
clubs that
I don't know where.
Bob Backlund had those. And he had Top Dollar do it, and I think Backlund just realized that he's like, yeah, this fucking dude can't do this shit. So I was like, yeah, you did great. Club. Get out of here, you fucking jabron. Nikolai Volkov or anybody like that?
Nikolai Volkov, yeah. One of the like satin red jackets that said CCP. Yeah, I should post that one on Instagram actually. I should do that actually. Thanks for reminding me. I should
That's
post
a
that one
classic.
soon. Yeah, I do have one of his jackets. Yeah.
Amazing. That's
what's
so cool.
What would be the strangest, I guess, item you have in your collection? Because there's in the world of professional wrestling, there's a lot of strange shit, and it could be cool strange. Like people would probably think I'm a weirdo if I had Rick Martel's big fucking perfume gun or some shit, but I think it was cool.
No, there's a lot of people that would love to have that actually.
Yeah.
They make replicas of that now.
What was that called? Arrogance?
Yeah. Arrogance was the perfume. Absolutely.
Yep.
I think the strangest thing I have, and when I bring it up, some people, you either love it or hate it. You either say, why do you have that? Or do you say, that's the coolest fucking thing ever?
Mark Henry's
and it's
hand?
No, it's not Mark
Mae Young's
Henry's
hand?
No, close. The WrestleMania, I'll set the scene, WrestleMania 12. So start there. Any guesses what it might be?
I'm trying to think of 12. I don't remember 12.
The backlot brawl.
Oh, with Goldust and Roddy
man.
Piper.
You got his lingerie?
Yes, I do. I have the
Yes. Fuck yeah.
Clip of the week.
Yes. I'm all on board with that. That is so cool. Backlot Brawl is one of my favorite things.
It'll be interesting to see, one, if they air it. So when they came and filmed this episode that hasn't aired yet, it came up in conversation, and I was like, oh, I think they asked me like what the strangest thing was, and so I showed them that. So it'll be interesting to see if they air that. But
I hope so.
But WWE just actually borrowed it for WrestleMania, so I actually sent it to. Yeah, they displayed it at WrestleMania this year.
Oh yeah,
because they had the Piper set up. Yeah.
They pay you for that shit, Tim, to like rent it from you?
No, not really. I sent them a Barbarian, the cape that the Barbarian wore, because I have that.
Yeah,
if you remember that kind of like animal paw thing.
Yeah.
And because they were looking for stuff that was used at WrestleManias in California. And so, Barbarian had used that robe, and then the Goldust lingerie, and they sent me, I don't really care. They take good care of it, so I don't mind if they use it. And they were nice enough to send me like the display poster that they printed for the Barbarian cape, which is kind of cool. So I could put that on display next to it.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Dude, that Goldust Roddy.
Yeah, I would say that's probably the weirdest thing I have. That's probably the weirdest, because some people, when I tell them I have that, they're like, why do you have that? Like, why would you want that? And it's like, because it's fucking Goldust. I love Goldust. I love that gimmick.
Yeah.
I love Dustin, great worker, and like amazed that he's still going today. It's phenomenal.
Looking good too.
And looking good. And but I love that gimmick, and that's like a WrestleMania moment. Like,
Yeah.
Piper and
Why-
Rhodes, WrestleMania.
Was it that gold ass
Brutal.
Cadillac that he drove?
Yeah, the gold Cadillac where
I
he
want that car
punched
so
the window.
bad when I was a kid. Dude, it's like,
I remember when Piper decked him. Like I was like, holy shit, he punched him for real. I was like, do they hate each other?
Piper was like, "Hey man, I got this. Fucking, I did. They live." And Dustin's like, "Hey brother, I'm right
I'll
there
take
with you. I
anything.
fought in the back of a fucking flatbed
The
trailer,
bunkhouse. Yeah, the back of a semi.
dude." Man.
I'd be like, why wouldn't you want that lingerie set?
Yeah,
It'd be like one of the
Yeah.
first things. Like, where is it? I want it.
Tim, be honest. What's Halloween like?
I got the Goldust robe back over there. I don't know.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, Soren's getting a little, tantalized from that. But dude, what can I say? Hey, what about Dusty? Because we brought up the Rhodes family, the name, the crest.
No, I don't have any Dusty stuff, and I'll tell you why. Is that friend, that collector I told you about? Like, Dusty to him is like Bret to me. So anytime something Dusty comes up, I kind of repay the favor, so to speak, and I pass it on that way and kind of say, hey. So I had an opportunity. Someone reached out to me on Instagram recently and wanted to sell some Dusty stuff. And sometimes you got to go through great lengths to get some of this stuff. So like in this case, I actually flew out to New York just to meet this guy at the airport and turn around and come back to pick this stuff up. But there was some Dusty stuff in there that I kind of passed, just let my friend buy. I just went and picked it up.
Speaking of that, and like the whole transaction of what you're into, as far as, because obviously this is mad apparent that you're super serial about this, ring worn attire. What's been like the weirdest transaction, or has there been? I imagine there's got to be some weirdness out there.
Weirdest transaction. I wouldn't say there's been anything terribly weird.
It's I don't know. I just figure like it might be weird in the game, and like everybody holding that shit tight, like someone try to rip you off or pull a fast one or sell you some. I
have been scammed. Yeah, I have been scammed. So what's crazy too. So there was a collector, and I had done a couple of deals with them, and they were all good. They were all like legit, and he sent me good stuff. And then he reached out one time and he says, I got these pair of Chris Jericho trunks and I got these Randy Orton trunks, and you want to buy them? So I did. And then I got them and I'm like, these things are fake. Like, these things are like $30 replicas that, and I couldn't understand it because I was like, man, I did good deals with this guy. Like, why did he? And he was adamant, like, oh no, those are real and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, I had to go through, your PayPal collection agency to get that back. But, so I have been scammed, like in that case. You have to be careful.
So how's it go? Like, obviously there's a lot of collectors out there of a lot of different things, myself, I think like action figures, toys, and comic books, and, with a lot of old books and stuff and autographed stuff. You can get that authenticated. Like, how hard is that for you? Or is every single piece you have, like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're not feeling scammed or like displaying, looking like a jabron because like, hey, yeah, this is, what was that? Paul Rosenberg got busted in one of those episodes. There's like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I was like, that's so fucking embarrassing. Like, how could you not tell? Like, those weren't.
I don't know.
Right away when he showed them, and I was like, it's not. He had some different
Me
fucking
too.
glasses.
As soon as he showed them, I was like, that's not Montreal. Like, unless, and you never know. I don't know. I wouldn't, I guess I could speculate. Like, he does work for them in a sense, not directly, but he does often appear on their pay-per-views and stuff. So he has some sort of working relationship with them. And maybe they just needed content and they were just like, hey, who knows if it was all worked or not? Because I'd like to think, if you did any sort of research on that, you would know pretty quickly that those weren't the glasses. But yeah, I do a lot of research. I try to do it before I get an item. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you have to roll the dice. You can usually tell if something's new or I guess used in general. But what I do typically is I try to find distinguishing kind of characteristics of whatever it is and try to match it to videos. So and kind of find a unique aspect of it. There's not a lot of replicas out there, but there are some. Randy Savage is highly replicated. Unfortunately, there was a collector in New Jersey who went out and, replicated sometimes poorly and sometimes really well, like replicated some of his outfits and stuff. And many people have been kind of conned by that. Warrior is another one. So there's a lot of stuff. I don't know, where they came from. It's very possible that Warrior had stuff made to sell. I don't know for sure because it's very nicely made, but you will not find a picture of Warrior wearing these outfits
Right.
That are out there sold as ring worn. Hogan's another one because it's very easy to just, yellow trunks. So you have to be careful on stuff, but for the most part, if you see it in person, that's usually a telltale sign. You can kind of see signs of wear. You could see pulling, stretching, that it was actually used, dirt, stuff like that.
A little bit of blood on some of the items.
Blood, yeah.
Dude, do you have any dog collars?
No, I don't have any. No, I don't have any weapons. No. I can think of off the top of
from the Greg the Hammer Piper match, who has that?
Teal does.
Who?
Teal, Piper, Piper's daughter. Yeah, they just showed that on the Piper Treasures episode, and they went and she had it, and they showed it on TV.
Oh shit! I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah, that was just on yesterday.
Oh, bro,
yeah, it was pretty cool. She has it.
Try to get it from her, so I could.
Man, if you watch that episode, she was like, she wasn't really willing to part with it. So
I wouldn't either.
Piper's gear's got to be hard to come by, isn't it?
Not as hard as you think, because after he passed, his wife and his son sold a lot of it.
Oh shit!
So Teal did not sell, but his wife and his son sold quite a bit of it on kind of like auction house websites. So they sold trunk. I had a pair of trunks and boots that I traded to somebody else that I got, but yeah, they sold quite a bit of it. So it's out there.
I was wearing that T-shirt with the Black Panther on it. That one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of the Hot Rod shirts, but those, again, could be mass produced.
Yeah. And the OGs could just be simply lost to time,
Yeah.
Speaking of lost to time, man, we're out of time for this episode. Tim, I greatly appreciate you giving us your time and sharing fucking your information and your collection with the entire world and audience of Juice Pro Wrestling. It's been a fucking awesome time, man. And I hope you're down to do it again sometime. Maybe we can hook up, watch some pay-per-views, kick it out.
Yeah, anytime. I'll and queso and pizza. No, anytime. Maybe next time I could come on and I'll have stuff I can show on camera as ready for that. But yeah, and if you want to, I don't do a lot of podcasts or anything, but like if anybody who is listening wants to, I do post this stuff on Instagram. I have an account. It's called at the Ring Worn. So you could check out, I try to post kind of historical clips surrounding the items and the wrestlers. I try to give it's not about me, like the Instagram account's not about me. It's all about the items, the wrestlers who use them, try to give them, kind of new life, kind of tell stories. Hopefully, if you're a new fan, you might see something you never saw before or learn something. I write very highly descriptive kind of captions and stuff. So it's more just kind of like historical. It's kind of like an online museum, I guess. So
it's a great way to put it. I was looking at some of them today and I'm like, God damn, man, this. I actually like when there's some context I can read about, what I'm looking at as opposed to just a picture, like you said, the historical significance of these pieces, man, as wrestling fans and huge ones like we are, dude, it's amazing, dude. It's cool to find you and become friends with you. Cause this is like, I can only imagine when you get that stuff in and just like touching it would be like, ugh! You get like the wrestlers say, they get those feelings, it's the same thing as, You were there in the moment, you got a certain specific piece from that. We'll just say we'll throw the Montreal screw job or whatever moment in wrestling that touched you as a fucking kid, not like Jerry Sandusky, but touched you like a kid when you were a kid. Dude, it's just, there's nothing like it, man. It's time travel. It takes you back, it's
Definitely.
it's so fucking cool. So thank you for sharing that.
That's what I say about it. So when people say about why do you collect this stuff, I say the exact same thing. It's like it is a moment, it is history, it means something to somebody, it means something to me, it means something to fans. And people will often ask too, like, oh, it's just in your house and it's just in your basement. And it's like, yeah, it is. That's why I kind of started the Instagram account. But eventually I do plan on doing something with it, like in terms of whether that's taking it on the road to conventions or just having an actual physical space for it, eventually, because I think I kind of, at this point, I'm so far in, I owe it to fans to do something like that with this stuff.
For sure.
And the wrestlers. I mean, I know that, some of them don't care, some of them may care, but I think that showing this stuff off kind of helps their legacy live on too. And, not to put too much credit on myself or anything, but I'd like to think that I'm doing something like that, kind of paying back for all that, years of entertainment. And I was so invested as a kid. So, and, am to this day in that era. So I'd like to give back somehow.
Fuck yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you too. One of the main things a lot of people collect, belt collectors. It's a big thing in the real sport of professional wrestling, but in the hobbyist trade, what do you got? Are you rocking any title belts?
So before I started collecting ring gear, I collected belts. So I started collecting they weren't ring used belts. They were just authentically made, made by Reggie Parks and Jamar, the same quality as the TV titles. I sold most of them. I kept one. I kept the Intercontinental title that I had ordered from Reggie. So if people don't know, Reggie Parks was the belt creator. He actually made the belts for WWF back in the 80s and early 90s. And at one point, he's passed away now, but at one point you could order a belt from him and he'd make it to you of the same quality and all that. So I still have that one because I ordered it myself, and I've had it now since 2007, I think, when I got that. I did have a ring used one actually that I actually ended up trading eventually. I kind of regret it, but I did. It was a ring used, it was a newer belt. It was a ring used WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt that was used by Daniel Bryan in that era of when he was champion and lost to Sheamus in like 7 seconds at WrestleMania. So it was that belt. But I traded that one. So belt collecting was kind of what drew me in actually into the hobby, as I started there and then moved on.
Hell yeah. Well, dude, once again, I really appreciate the time. Everybody right now, like and subscribe on YouTube, comment, share this fucking episode with all your friends. If you're listening in podcast land, rate and review. And once again, share with your friends. ProWrestlingTees.com/JPDubTees. Buy the shirts. Until next time, we're out of this motherfucker. Wet 'em up. Wet 'em up. Wet 'em up.
You gonna do sex to me?
Did you like that video? If so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out more killer content from your boys at Juice Pro Wrestling. Whoa, yeah!